Hi students, this is Uma Mageshwari from St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science, Kadalur. This video is for the paper British Poetry 2. In this video, we are going to analyze the poem The Lady of Shalott, written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Let's see the brief introduction about the poet. Alfred Lord Tennyson was born on August 6, 1809 in Somersby, Lincolnshire, England. He was one of the most representative poets of the Victorian age. He was the poet laureate of the Great Britain and Ireland during Queen Victoria's reign. He was awarded by the Chancellor's Gold Medal at Cambridge in 1829. In 1829, Tennyson received Chancellor's Gold Medal at Cambridge for one of his first pieces, Timbuktu. He succeeded William Wordsworth as a poet laureate in 1850 and served for 42 years. He received great appraisals from the Queen, who compared his poems to the Bible. Tennyson's first publication was Poems Chiefly Lyrical in 1830, which included the popular poem Mariana. His second book, Poems, in 1833, received mixed reviews after which he ceased to write for 10 years. He wrote In Memoriam A.H.H. in memory of his closest friend Arthur Hallam. The Lady of Shalott, The Lotus Eaters, Marty D. Arthur, and Ulysses appeared in 1842 in the two-volume poems, which established his reputation as a writer. Some other classic poems are Tithonus, The Charge of the Light Brigade, and The Eagle. His most famous quotes are, Knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers. A lie which is half a truth is ever the blackest of lies. To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Let's see the brief introduction about the poem. The Lady of Shalott was loosely based on the Arthurian legend of Elaine of Astolat, as recounted in a 13th century Italian novel titled Donna di Scalato, with the earlier version being closer to the source material than the later. Tennyson wrote two versions of the poem, one published in 1833 of 20 stanzas, the other in 1842 of 19 stanzas. The poem is a ballad, which is a short story in verse intended to be sung to an audience. Refrain is used in this poem, which means same lines are repeated from stanza to stanza. The poem is written in 4 parts. Each stanza has 9 lines that are written with a rhyme scheme of A-A-A-A-B, C-C-C-B. In many of the stanzas, the last line is The Lady of Shalott. The setting of the poem, The Lady of Shalott, is medieval during the days of King Arthur. Near Camelot is the island of Shalott, where a beautiful young maiden is imprisoned. She, the Lady of Shalott, must not look at Camelot, but can only see what is reflected in a mirror as she works on weaving a magical web. If she looks at Camelot, she will be cursed. Let's analyze the poem, The Lady of Shalott. Part 1. On either side the river lie, long fields of barley and of rye, that clothe the wall and meet the sky, and through the field the road runs by. Too many towered Camelot, and up and down the people go, gazing where the lilies blow, round an island there below, the island of Shalott. Willows whiten, aspens square, little breezes dusk and shiver, through the wave that runs forever by the island in the river, flowing down to Camelot. 4 grey walls and 4 grey towers overlook a space of flowers, and the silent isle embowers the Lady of Shalott. By the margin, willow-veiled, slide the heavy barges trailed, by slow horses and unhailed, the shallop flitted silken-sailed, skimming down to Camelot. But who hath seen her wave her hand, or at the casement seen her stand? Or is she known in all the land, the Lady of Shalott? Only reapers reaping early, in among the bearded barley, hear a song that echoes cheerly from the river winding clearly down to towered Camelot, and by the moon the reaper weary, pilling sheaves in uplands airy, listening whispers, "This the fairy Lady of Shalott." Let's analyze part 1. In part 1, we are introduced to the mystery, the young lady who is imprisoned on the island of Shalott in the middle of a river that flows down to Camelot. Few know of her, but early in the morning, reapers can hear her sing a cheery song. They call her the Fairy Lady of Shalott. Let's move on to part 2. There she weaves by night and day a magic web with colours gay. She has heard a whisper say, a curse is on her if she stay to look down to Camelot. She knows not what the curse may be, and so she weaveth steadily, and little other care hath she, the Lady of Shalott. And moving through a mirror clear that hangs before her all the year, shadows of the world appear. There she sees the highway near, winding down to Camelot. There the river eddy whirls, and there the surly village churls, and the red cloaks of market girls pass onward from Shalott. Sometimes a troop of damsels glad, and about on an ambling pad, sometimes a curly shepherd lad, or long-haired page in crimson clad, goes by to dowered Camelot, and sometimes through the mirror blue, the knights come riding two and two. She hath no loyal knight and true, the Lady of Shalott. But in her web she still delights to weave the mirror's magic sights. For often through the silent nights a funeral with plumes and lights and music went to Camelot. Or when the moon was overhead, came two young lovers lately wed. I'm half sick of shadows, said the Lady of Shalott. Let's analyze part 2. The Lady of Shalott spends her time weaving a magic web with colours gay. She has heard a whisper telling her that if she looks at Camelot, she will be cursed. She doesn't know what the curse will be, but she takes care not to look. However, as she weaves, she looks into a clear mirror in front of her that somehow reflects the comings and goings of Camelot. The mirror is her only link to the outside world. But what she sees are funerals and young lovers makes her discontent with the shadow images in the mirror. She longs for something that is real, saying, I'm half sick of shadows. Let's move on to part 3. A bow shot from her bower eaves. He rode between the barley sheaves. The sun came dazzling through the leaves and flamed upon the brazen greaves of bold Sir Lancelot. A red-crossed knight for ever kneeled to a lady in his shield that sparkled on the yellow field beside remote Shalott. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see. Hung in the golden galaxy, the bridal bells rang merrily, as he rode down to Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung beside remote Shalott. All in the blue unclouded weather, thick jewelled shone the saddle leather. The helmet and the helmet feather burned like one burning flame together as he rode down to Camelot. As often through the purple night, below the starry clusters bright, some bearded meteor, trailing light, moves over still Shalott. His broad clear brow in sunlight glowed, on burnished hooves his war horse trod. From underneath his helmet flowed his coal black curls as on he rode down to Camelot. From the bank and from the river he flashed into the crystal mirror, Tira-lira by the river, sang Sir Lancelot. She left the web, she left the loom, she made 3 paces through the room. She saw the water lily bloom, She saw the helmet and the plume. She looked down to Camelot. Out flew the web and floated wide. The mirror cracked from side to side. The curse is come upon me, cried the Lady of Shalott. Let's analyze part 3. In part 3, we see a lengthy description of Sir Lancelot. He is described as bold, with shield and armor, almost like a star in a galaxy. His helmet has a feather and his saddle jewels. He is astonishingly handsome with coal black curls, and he catches the eye and heart of the Lady of Shalott as he rides by the banks of the river singing Tiralira. This young woman is so taken by Sir Lancelot that she stops her work and looks at Camelot, though she risks the mysterious curse. The mirror actually breaks, and her web is either thrown out of the window where it floats down the river or magically floats out of the window on its own. The Lady of Shalott realizes that she is cursed. Let's move on to part 4. In the stormy east wind straining, the pale yellow woods were waning, the broad stream in his banks complaining, heavily the low sky raining. Over towered Camelot, down she came and found a boat beneath a willow left afloat. And round about the prow she wrote, the Lady of Shalott. Down the river's dim expanse, like some bold seer in a trance, seeing all his own mischance, with a glassy countenance, did she look to Camelot, and at the closing of the day, she loosed the chain, and down she lay. The broad stream bore her far away, the Lady of Shalott. Lying, robed in snowy white, that loosely flew to left and right, the leaves upon her falling light through the noises of the night. She floated down to Camelot, and as the boat head wound along the willowy hills and fields among, they heard her singing her last song, the Lady of Shalott. Heard a carol, mournful, holy, chanted loudly, chanted lowly, till her blood was frozen slowly, and her eyes were darkened wholly, turned to towered Camelot. For ere she reached upon the tide, the first house by the waterside, singing in her song she died, the Lady of Shalott. Under tower and balcony, by garden wall and gallery, a gleaming shape she floated by, dead pale between the houses high, silent into Camelot. Out upon the wharfs they came, knight and burgher, lord and dame, and round the prow they read her name, the Lady of Shalott. Who's this, and what's here? And in the lighted palace near died the sound of royal cheer, and they crossed themselves for fear, all the knights at Camelot. But Lancelot mused a little space. He said, she has a lovely face, God in his mercy lend her grace, the Lady of Shalott. Let's analyze part 4. In this part, we can see that the weather is extremely bad and stormy, but the Lady of Shalott races down to the banks of the river, finds a boat, and scribbles her name around the edge of it. She then enters the boat, wearing a flowing white dress, and begins to float downstream toward Camelot at sunset. She sings as she floats onward. Others hear a carol, mournful, holy, that she chanted loudly, chanted lowly. It must have been terribly cold out, because the poor woman freezes to death before she reaches the first house in Camelot. The lords and ladies of Camelot all come out and look at her, dead and lovely in the boat. They read her name and cross themselves in fear. Who is this woman? What happened? Then in a moment of irony, Sir Lancelot himself bows next to her and says, she has a lovely face, God in his mercy lend her grace, the Lady of Shalott. Let's analyze poetic devices used in the poem. Personification is used in beard ballet. The ballet doesn't have beard originally, but the long grown wheat is looking like beard. The same device is also in the line and the silent isle imberverse. Pathetic fallacy is used in the line in the stormy east winds training, which means the human feelings are same as the weather. Simile is used in the line like to some branch of stars we see, which means the bridle of the horse was sparkling like the starry skies. Thank you.